spend too much time on the internet and you start to listen to some crazy stuff like aliens exist, the earth is flat, and Dean Koontz has good books. I know crazy stuff, however I can say that Dean Koontz does have some good books like Phantoms, which I've reviewed, or Watchers, a great horror book for Stephen King fans to read. And I kind of like The Bad Place, and I was looking more into Dean Koontz books to find other nuggets of gold in his prolific career of, let's be honest, mediocre books, because most of the Dean Koontz books I have read were very mediocre. And I've heard good things about Intensity, the book I'm talking about today. This is a translated version of it, and this book came into my radar many years ago when I watched a French movie called Haute Tension, or Tension, or Switchblade Romance in English, I believe. Whatever. Yes, Haute Tension. You'll be subjected to my awful French accent along with my awful English accent. That movie was accused of ripping off Dean Koontz' novel Intensity. And having watched the movie and also having read the book, I can say that it's definitely a bootleg adaptation of this book, because it takes some of the good parts in the first half of the book, a lot of the premise, but it also adds a very vital difference in the plot, as well as a twist ending that is completely nothing to do with this book, alright? And I thought that this twist ending in the original movie was kind of meh part, but yeah, I think they did a lot of great decisions in adapting the story. So Intensity is about two university students who go to one of them, to the parents of one of them in Southern Valley, California, and during the night the friend is staying awake because she has a lot of issues. She had a very difficult childhood, and as she's awake and dressed, somebody goes into the house and murders the entire family. And our protagonist, China, decides to follow him. And so the entirety of the book is a chase between China and this maniac, this serial killer. The movie was notorious for its gore. It was part of the new French Extreme, so it had gore in spades. This book does not have gore in spades. It's a Dean Koontz book, so yeah, it's kinda tame for a serial killer thriller. And it suffers a lot from the usual Dean Koontz problems, at least the problems I have with Dean Koontz books. There is this saintly good protagonist, and early on and throughout the book, Dean Koontz takes a lot of effort to give us the troubled past of China Shepard, the protagonist, but in reality the way she acts, the reason why she decides to follow the killer is very far-fetched, and you have to be a saint to act this way in real life. The movie skips that with one very easy fix, and I was expecting the book to get good to go this way because it made sense, but no, it does not. The book does not take the easy way out and makes the plot difficult for itself. Alright, I won't spoil it for you, but you'll be about on the first third of the book and you're like, oh shit, really? And yeah, as we get to the chase and we see both points of views of China and Edler, the killer that she's after, there is a lot of back and forth. Edler, of course, is your run-of-the-mill Dean Koontz maniac. He's cartoonishly evil. He has a weird code of ethics of life. He's basically evil. He is doing what he's doing because he's evil, period. We're talking a Dean Koontz book, So the villain is going to be a deviant monster of a man or a woman. At this point, this dichotomy, this fact that China is doing something that most people would not do, and Edgelord is of course an edgelord, a serial killer edgelord, make my suspension of disbelief go away. Then there are some very long scenes throughout the book of the chase that are supposed to build suspense, but my disbelief was not suspended at this point, so I was skipping pages in order to get to the end. There's some good parts. There is this great scene in the gas station early on that was also ripped off by the French movie. That was clearly great. The way it's built up, the way it plays out, it's just... And I did enjoy that, but then as we get towards the second half, and after the second half, I was feeling bored, especially when we get to the part that was omitted from the movie, that it dragged a lot. And yeah, it was kind of fun. There were some fun twists and turns that were telegraphed. That's something that this book also does, because it spends quite some time in Edgelord's head. Then we're not surprised by what he's doing. There's not much suspense, and basically I felt like the plot was there to hit the 400 page mark. The author was really pushing to get that far, and that was something I did not enjoy in this book. So it was a bit of a disappointment, not a huge disappointment like other Koontz books I've read. It was not bland. It had actually some good scenes in it, some decent horror elements, some suspense. The premise was definitely very interesting. The premise is gold, and you can make a much better book out of this premise. And actually they made a much better movie out of this premise, come to think of it. But there are some choices done, and yeah, some Koontzism. I mean, to me, Dean Koontz is like the off-brand Stephen King. It's the I want Stephen King, we've got Stephen King at home meme. And as with many off-brand products, you can get something equally as good, maybe sometimes better, but you can also get some very bad or bland substitutes for the branded product. And this book feels like the bland substitute for a Stephen King book. It just lacks the overall quality of Stephen King. And yes, it's not as verbose, which is always a plus, but it's the verbosity of Stephen King that makes the book very good. I mean, if Stephen King wrote this book, it will be 800 pages long and half as boring, because we will be able to get into the heads of the characters and feel for them. And it's never quite works here because it's Dean Koontz. Alright, I know that there are Koontz fans out there. There are people who definitely like the off-brand Stephen King quality of his. I'm not huge on Stephen King, so that explains a lot. I don't want the poor substitute. If I want King, I can go through King. But Dean Koontz, for me, is more like a treasure hunt. It's like playing the lottery. You may win, you may lose reading his books, but it's always interesting to see if it's good or not. And I feel that here, I got my money back. And that's all. I got nothing more out of it, which is a shame, because I believe that another author could have done a great work. So if you have any suggestions for other Dean Koontz books I should read, Dean Koontz books that are actually good, like say Demon Seed, Watchers, or Phantoms, or I like The Bad Place because he sort of did not do the sadly good main characters, which was very interesting. Leave a comment below with all your suggestions. I've got some other books of his behind me. I think I've got Eyes of the Dragon and Lightning. So yeah, should I read them or should I avoid them? You tell me. So if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like that, and I'll see you soon. Stay spooky.